There's one thing I know as a man, we tend to overdo a lot, is think. They call it overthinking. Thinking too much about something, about a situation, about whether or not to make a decision. I told my oldest son something. It was the beginning of last year. And he's a teenager. But, as his father, I do my best to instill some wisdom, give him something to think about. I know he's a kid, he's a teenager. I'm not I'm not going to be unrealistic about what I expect him to do with that information. All I can do is go back and think about what I used to do with that information, and we'll leave it at that. But I talked to him, I think it was beginning of last year, and I said, one thing that we have to be able to do as men, we have to be able to make decisions. And once we make that decision, we stick to it. Now, and this is what I'm telling my son, for those decisions, there will be consequences. And we know this. For every action, there is a reaction. When I was growing up, the word consequences had like a negative tone, negative way about it, I guess you can say. I've learned since that consequences are just the results. It's just what happens after you do one thing. These are the results. These are the consequences. And so I'm telling this to my son. And we make decisions, we decide, and then we deal with the consequences. Now, those consequences, depending on the decision that's made, that's where the weight's at, right? That's where it really weighs heavily on us. Having to deal with what it is that we've done, the decision that we've made. For some of us, we're still feeling consequences from actions that we've taken years ago. And it wasn't that I was telling my son just to make any reckless decision that he feels like making. Making good choices, making good decisions. That's something that all of us learn at different times or another. Some of us never learn that. Young, old, we've just never learned it. Either by choice or by circumstance, I don't know. It's beyond me. I've been very fortunate to always have wise voices in my life, so I don't know, but I know that some of us are still dealing with the consequences of actions that we've taken years ago, a long time ago. And we take that same experience and we allow it to rule our lives. We allow it to dictate how we're going to view everything else. Any other pursuit, anything else that we want to do different, we're going to see it through that lens. And I'm not trying to discount that. I'm not trying to take away from what we're feeling. I mean, some of us have done some things. Man, we've done some things and we are dealing with the consequences of that thing. I'm not here to make it seem smaller than it is. I'm not here to make it not as real as it is. But the fact is, and the fact remains, that if we are going to do something else, another decision has to be made. Another choice has to be made. Another action step has to be taken. And yes, with that comes the consequences. The idea is that we want something else. We want something different. We want more than what we currently have. And rather than be paralyzed by an inability to make a decision, we take it back to the basics. What I was telling my son. For us, it is this. We make choices and then we deal with the consequence. We do our best to make the best decision that's possible. And then we deal with the consequences. But without action, without a decision made, nothing changes. Nothing gets different.